focus areas under the diversity umbrella, as we've learned from Chris and Dr. Sioka. As the CSER Gender Diversity Forum, we act to create an enabling environment to converse and to drive gender issues in the workplace and in our sector. So today must be interactive. The forum aims to play an advisory role to individuals and to communicate with company leadership on gender diversity issues, and to research and track relevant statistics pertaining to gender diversity in this industry. This will allow us to create awareness around the challenges faced and to reinforce the value proposition to business through embracing diversity. And we've learned this through what Chris shared in his intro. We often talk about the engineering pipeline and refer to it as the pool of potential engineers that exist, and how we can get these engineers into the pipeline and retain them in the system. And whilst we currently see large numbers of unemployed graduates and experienced engineering professionals at present, the demand for skills will return in this very cyclic nature of the built environment. However, as we've also seen in the statistics that Chris shared, is that according to EXA's 2018-2019 annual report, our country boasts almost 21,000 professional engineers, and with that, only 5% being female. And a further look at the statistics of the CSER member firms, we see that only 11% of top management in firms are female, and only 18% are in senior management. So this gross underrepresentation of females at a senior level doesn't tell a very good story for the successive generation of women engineers. It's clear that engineering suffers the leaky pipeline phenomenon from school to the C-suite, with fewer women rising to the next level in the sector. And while many initiatives are underway on how to improve those numbers, we recognize that these solutions are long-term, they're complex, and they require interventions from many stakeholders to be able to plug those holes in the leaky pipeline and to have a profession and a sector that is better representative of the demographics of this country and better harness the benefits of women in engineering. So in establishing the basis to tackle these challenges, as the Gender Diversity Forum, we've decided to look at the pipeline of women engineers as an interconnected pipeline with three distinct parts. So the first part being the student and graduates, the mid-level professionals, and then senior level female professionals. So during each part of this three-part webinar, we'll focus on different aspects of the pipeline and to better understand the challenges and to tackle these effectively with the correct stakeholders. So we talked today around the role of young professionals in achieving the diversity agenda. And this focuses on the student and graduate part of the pipeline. This part of the pipeline is often most affected by the number of girls that select maths and science subjects at school, and further choosing engineering over the myriad of other careers under the STEM banner. So deep biasing science and engineering is not something that we should start in grade 10. It's something that carries through primary school level and creates a positive mindset around it that pushes selection at senior grades. So for those females who are not put off by the very negative stories of what a career in engineering will be like, we've all heard things around them about it being male dominated, the perception that it's rough, it's not ladylike. When they progress into tertiary level and seek opportunities as graduates, we find a different set of challenges that face females at this very early part of the pipeline. So the landscape for young professionals is very uncertain, particularly in a workspace time that we find ourselves right now. And an acknowledgement of those additional challenges on female graduates is critical for us to be able to engage proactively in this conversation. One of the most significant barriers to gender balance is unconscious bias. We've talked a lot about unconscious bias, and this is the bias that happens automatically, and it's triggered in our brain, making quick judgments that are influenced by our own backgrounds and cultural environments and personal experiences. And it's shown up in many ways. So as Dr. Jeshika talked about inviting people to the party, you can be at the party, but no one will ask you to dance. And this we see in many ways in the interviewing and hiring processes. It's clearly still a problem, or we wouldn't find the ongoing disparity in employment statistics. The gender pay gap, so the perception of differing roles, and men and women in the business come in with the same set of qualifications, but younger male graduates often have higher starting salaries than females, where there's no previous experience as a comparison. This then sets females on a much lower base right at the start of their careers, which means that it's almost impossible to catch up later on as you progress to senior levels. The division of tasks are also done often along perceived competencies. And this can be true for both male and females managers who allocate work to graduates. We've got a very active chat box going, so it would be really useful also for you to share some of the experiences that you've had in the challenges around work allocation on the basis of gender. Then there's perceptions around competence, and these are very vast. The other challenge is stereotypes. Women are often stereotyped as being overly sensitive, weak-willed, very likely to cry if you're challenged. We've heard many of these over the years, but it's also useful for you to share some of these stereotypes that you've had thrown at you. Then there's the ability to register professionally. We've seen the statistics between 5 and 7% of registered professionals being female. And often one wonders whether how the low levels of females being registered as professionals is related to inappropriate experience levels that you get as a graduate. And that being attributed to the division of tasks, particularly in technical and site management roles. So these are some of the challenges that exist that require us to be able to engage, to be able to deal with and create a more meaningful way that such things can plug up those holes in the leaky pipeline. Do other careers offer less obvious challenges to their female graduates? We learned from Dr. Jeshika today in terms of the pharmacist profession, and over the next two webinars, we'll learn from other professions in terms of what they've done to be able to curb some of these gender diversity challenges that they face. I'm certain that we're not unique as the engineering profession, but we do need to consider the impact of the loss of technically qualified and experienced females to careers outside of engineering, and ask how we can turn these around. These challenges grow with the higher incidence of gender-based violence and sexual harassment, and the toss-up between being fired and standing up for what's right is a decision that no one should have to make, because so much of sexual harassment goes unreported. And we find that younger graduates are often not as willing as senior professionals to be able to speak out. And even at the level of senior professionals, the stigma around sexual harassment and gender-based violence is still very strong. So how can we drive change to strengthen this engineering pipeline? The purpose of our forum is to be able to create useful guidelines and toolkits to assist companies and individuals to help us transition into a more inclusive profession. So today is about understanding what young professionals need, what young professionals face, so that we can offer those types of solutions. But without having very onerous guidelines and onerous toolkits to be able to follow, in the meantime, there's things that we can do to be able to foster a stronger pipeline starting today. And that is to create the culture of inclusion wherever you are, irrespective of gender and wherever you are in the pipeline. The idea for us as a sector is to look at the entire pipeline. If women don't get the right opportunities and the right support at the beginning, in the middle, and in the middle of their careers, the chances of making it into senior roles and to entrepreneurial opportunities, for further entrepreneurial opportunities, is very low. Advocacy, as Dr. Sioka highlighted, is the power that we hold to be able to change the things we do, to change the work that we do in engineering. And the idea is to become a supporter and a sponsor to other women and to encourage men to do the same. So sponsorship is that very active role that we take in giving another person's career that boost. As Dr. Sioka said, I too am a product of support and sponsorship by both male and female mentors and leaders, and it's my responsibility. And in the forum, it's our collective responsibility to be able to do the same. In lifting as you climb, what we do is we offer advice, offer nurturing ambition, and encourage all women to be able to step up and call out discrimination where we see it. This shouldn't be something that women do when they see discrimination against other women. How fantastic would it be for a male counterpart to be able to call out discrimination that he sees, and that would be progress that we see in action in our sector. The other thing is that young women need aspiring role models. So this is also a plea to our male counterparts. Disrupt the status quo. And remember the disruption examples that we've seen in the previous, in Dr. Sioka's presentation. Ultimately, we decide whether we will be the Kodak of the disruption of engineering, or if we'll be the superbalist of the Stutterford's analogy that Dr. Sioka talked about. So I'm going to close on this Sheryl Sandberg quote that I love. And it says that next time you're about to call a little girl bossy, say instead she has executive leadership skills. It takes all of us to be able to plug the holes in the leaky pipeline. And that's our role as the Gender Diversity Forum at CISA, to be able to create an enabling environment for these types of constructive conversations to take place. So I encourage you to be active in the Q&A, and also contact us via social media, email us, to be able to be part of this very important conversation. So I'd like to hand over back to Innocentia, and thank you very much.